KTM. Let's start with AP.
Got a lot to say here.
Me too.
Oh, okay.
Let's start with AP.
I feel like I don't have a lot to say.
Well, I have a lot to say about this team in general. I guess more so the next guy.
I
mean, same
AP,
team as next year, or as last year.
I think with AP, we see a lot of the same, but I don't know that he wins a race.
I was about to say a lot of the same. We can't forget he had the red plate at one point.
He did.
I don't know if I agree with that.
He did, but I think he's again another solid dude, and I think he has another solid year.
What does that look like for you, though?
That solid year to me, though, is just like
top five,
a spot or two farther back than what he was last year.
Does he get a podium?
Which I don't know what he was.
Does he get podiums?
Yes.
Okay, I got to disagree with you on that.
You don't think he's going to podium at all?
That's the only thing I got to disagree with you on is I don't think he can get podiums.
Really?
I just don't think so. Not a dash shot against AP. I love AP.
As much as I love AP, I think last year will be his best season ever.
I think that last year was definitely, use a fancy term, an aberration. That was not a normal thing for AP. Like, I don't.
No, I definitely think that's who he is. Like, I definitely think that's.
I think he's that good, but I don't like it. Kind of just piggybacking. That's going to be his this year. I don't think that year he'll ever be able to replicate that.
That's what I mean. Like, that was his peak of a year.
Yeah, and I mean, dude, you even saw it in outdoors, man. Like when he was on, like he was battling up there with Eli, or not with Eli, but with Chase and Hunter and all them.
Couple weird small things where he just couldn't close the deal. Yeah.
But I disagree on the podium. I don't think he can get a podium. I think if it's a mud race, yes, but I think that you're going to be hard pressed to see him get a podium if everyone is healthy this year.
Two podiums, one win last year.
Yeah, man.
Red plate for a little while too.
Red plate for a little while. Yeah.
Didn't he lose it in Detroit? Was Detroit the round that he lost it?
I think it was Glendale.
Like
2 years ago.
It was Glendale because he went 4-5, 1-3-6, and then went 10th at Glendale. So
and then Detroit made it worse too. If I remember.
Well, Detroit was before Glendale, so maybe he lost it in Detroit with that 6. I don't know. Like I said, I think we see a lot of the same. I think you're probably right. Like top fives here because you look at it and he, like I said, he went 4-5, 1-3, 6-10, 3, 18 at Daytona, 8-6, 4-4, and they missed the last couple rounds, I guess.
And that 18 at Daytona was definitely not a normal thing for him either.
So I guess top 5 guy. It wouldn't surprise me if he sneaks a podium in because he because it's just like, dude, you go down the list and it's just like random people get podiums all the time.
He put him on my random podium list for sure. Not a for sure podium, but
so
better if it's a mud race. If it's dry and normal, definitely goes down.
All right. Who wants to fucking shit on Sexton first?
I don't want to shit on Sexton.
Here's where I'll go with this.
Okay.
I'm very interested. Obviously, he's saying all the right things. I mean, and I think he's pretty transparent when it comes to the bike sucking, stuff like that. But
you think so? Did you hear about last year?
Well, last year he was having meltdowns, and he's come out and said he's had meltdowns.
We didn't hear about that. We didn't hear about that last year.
Fired Zim halfway into the year.
Everything was fine last year. He didn't fire Zim.
No, I know. I know.
I am very interested to see where the bike is. That's going to be number one. Mm-hmm. Man, if the bike's good and he's happy, he can run with those guys. He's a contender, and we talk about going the distance. That kid is in shape. He can go the distance.
Oh, dude, I've been watching his boot camp shit on his channel.
Oh, I mean, don't get him fired up.
We're going to get into that.
You obviously didn't look at the notes, and I did.
No, you didn't. You should have looked at the notes. That's coming up as a rant.
We got to listen to his rant on
still.
But either way, I think the kid's in shape. You may disagree with me.
I mean, he's in shape. That's fine.
I don't think anybody disputes that.
I think he can go the distance, but you're going to disagree with me because I know it's coming. I got a crystal ball here. But the other thing that I'm worried about is all the noise around KTM right now.
Which is some fucking... Oh, yeah. Well, you were talking about something.
Like, I am concerned about... they're going to tell him everything's fine. Mm-hmm. What if shit really hits the fan?
I've been saying this for the last 2 weeks.
Bike goes bye-bye. Team goes bye-bye. This might be a guy that finds him... And it sounds fucking crazy, but this guy could find himself in a situation where... Let's go super crazy. He's leading the points. Red plate. Team folds.
They're out of money.
What's he going to do?
Because I'm with you here because I don't give a fuck what they say. They're doing damage control, right? Mm-hmm. We've watched this start last year. We watched it start when we started hearing the rumors that the Gas and Husky team was going to essentially merge, or one was going away and one was staying, and everybody was moving to one team and all this bullshit. Mm-hmm. And we all kind of went, huh? That's really fucking weird. Mm-hmm. Then all of a sudden you have them come out and be like, oh, by the way, we're restructuring. Our stock price is tanking. We don't have money. Oh, no, that's Europe. KTM USA is solid. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, too. Because if you don't say that, all these dudes are going, what the fuck are we doing?
Yeah, like If he can block out that noise outside of what's going on.
That I think is going to be a contributing factor here, especially if shit. Because here's the thing: is like this is stuff we won't know right away, but by mid-season we'll know. Because what'll happen is if they're out of money, they're not going to pay bonuses, and all it's going to take is a couple of missed bonuses there, and we're going to start hearing about it because they're going to start talking to people, going, "Yeah, so I podiumed the first 3 rounds, and my fucking quarterly bonus for my podiums didn't come in. Like, what the fuck, you know?" And that'll be a fucking problem. And then that's going to start noise, and that will shitball the rest of the season. Well, 100%. Now, whether or not that actually happens, I don't know. I don't know KTM's financials. All I know is if you're looking at it from the outside, it doesn't look fucking good.
It doesn't look good.
Well, did you hear that they were spending $90 million a year on MotoGP?
That's crazy.
$90 million. Do you want to know what the normal teams are spending? 30.
Well, you want to hear
spending that because they got to.
They were trying to catch up.
Well,
Yeah,
you want to hear a little bit of a crazy rumor too, but I don't.
Sure.
I think you can look at it and
we
go,
love crazy TLR tinfoil hat.
You can look at it and go, it's not. I mean, I guess it's not going to be. A lot of people that watch the show aren't going to be as concerned with it, but it goes down this road.
No, let's hear it.
So obviously the GPs over there and stuff, like everybody talks about, like Koonin going to the 450 and DeCarli going from gas and going over to the KTM side, and then with Nastan and Kai de Wolf and Liam Everts and a lot of their 450 guy leaving. Rumor is that like the only reason they're even going forward with KTM and Husky over there is because DeCarli and the guy who runs Nastan are the ones funding the whole fucking thing.
That doesn't surprise me.
Like because they went up because Kai did a interview with somebody and they were talking about him with Supercross.
Gypsy probably.
No, it wasn't. No, I'm not talking about like did a written interview. Not like
gotcha.
He was honestly on with Jace. But they were talking about that, like him doing Supercross and like, yeah, like I really want to test my skills, but I don't really know, like moving forward, like, man, maybe because I really like being over here, GP, you know, going to MXGP. But yeah, if the offer comes through, and then they were like the guy, I can't remember who it was. I don't think it was Lewis. Asked him the elephant in the room. He's like, well, we got to ask it. Like, what about with everything going on with KTM? And like Kai didn't necessarily dodge it, but he just basically goes, well, you know, that's not really for me. That's above my pay grade. But, like, you know, my owner at Nastan, like, they take care of everybody, and they'll keep things going. It's kind of like, oh, so you can kind of read between the lines. It's kind of like, huh. So the only reason KTM and Husky even have a team over there is pretty much because of Claudio DeCarli and the guy who runs Nastan.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Red Bull's fitting the bill here.
Can you imagine
I don't think Lucas and Sasha are coming to KTM next year. I bet they're on a different team. I bet they're on a different team. They're not.
The whole KTM thing, in my opinion, is up in the air right now.
They'll be on a totally different team.
Can you imagine we get to Fox Raceway and there's just no Red Bull KTM and no Husky Gas Rockstar?
So what? And that puts Sexton in a very vulnerable spot.
That puts everybody.
Sexton, I think, you know, he could maybe work his way to getting parts or something like that and keep his guy.
I mean, my question is,
but
what the fuck happens at that point?
Well, think about the dudes.
What the fuck do you even do?
Think about the dudes that are on that banner from over here in the GPs. You have Sexton, AP, Vial, Boomer. You have Ryder D, Cochran, RJ, Malcolm, and Barsha. And then over in the GPs, you have Adamo, Koonins, Sasha, and Lucas.
It's a lot of
You still
talent.
have Hurlings. You have Marc-Antoine Rossi. You have Kai de Wolf. You have Liam Everts. And then you have Simon Langenfelder. Think about if that whole thing folds, and I know that that's a small micro part of everything if it folds, but you think about those names. All the names from both series that might end up without a fucking ride.
Yeah.
Like, that's like fucking 95% of the dudes in both series that battle for titles or top five.
So, you know, if you want to go this road, I got a simple fix to that. Just give all these teams a little bit of the TV money so they can hire a third guy.
No, we're not going that road.
We can talk about
that's
that.
a whole video in itself.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think it will be, as long as we're just going to continue on the KTM bankruptcy situation here before we get back to Sexton. I believe
it all ties to Sexton, though.
Yeah, it does. But we'll get back to specifically talking about Sexton. Anyway, but I think the GPs will be a good tell. So they don't start till what? End of February?
End of February, early March.
So seeing how those teams roll will kind of, I think, determine, like, is KTM USA going to make it through the year, in my opinion.
That's a good point. It's a very good point. I didn't think about that.
If shit's real fuggity over there, and by that time we'll have been hearing, because somebody on the KTM will have had to have gotten a bonus by then.
It'll ripple
that
effect
won't
over to here.
that won't show up. Then I think we'll be able to really start going, ooh, is something going to happen here?
And so you'll hear about it too right away, because if it's Hurlings,
Yeah.
Liam Everts, or if it's one of the Koonins, and they don't get a bonus.
Do you want to know who really put
You'll-
it out there? Hurlings.
Oh, fucking Hurlings don't give a shit.
will bail out before the season
He'll
starts.
be like, I'm out. Like, I'll
Yeah,
go. I'll
if
go
he
over
sees
there.
something,
go
he'll
find
go.
somebody.
And
Yeah.
you know, another guy, if he sees something, and I think will go, is DeCoster.
I don't know about that.
I think he just says, "Hey, I'm deciding to retire. I'm done."
Okay,
And that
that's a
re-
good
and that
point too.
retirement right
That's
there,
a good
like,
point
that's
too.
the-
Could
that's the
signal
sign.
stuff too. The thing that sucks over here, getting back to the U.S. side of things, is that okay? You've got Cochran,
Ryder D.
and Ryder D. What are they going to do? They're basically going to end up as
Club
privateer dudes. I
Bar
mean,
X.
like they don't have money to
another
keep going.
poorly managed career, Ryder D.
Yeah. Then you've got
You're fucking right, dude.
then you've got Stu. Okay, what does Stu do?
Probably retire.
Does Stu? I don't know,
Stu
he
or
seems
Barsha.
excited. Do him and Barsha go like, hey man, we've been having a great time at Baker's. Do you think we could just like get a fun hauler and like move some bikes around here to,
Barsha's
to
already
ride the
proven
rest
he'll
of
pay
the
his
year?
own money to go race,
Yeah,
but
Barsha-
Stu, I
yeah.
don't know, man.
Yeah. No,
Stu-
well, I
Stu
mean,
might
Malcolm,
team up with-
Malcolm ponied up and
the
put his own
Suzuki,
team out
Suzuki
there.
squad, maybe, but yeah.
Sexton has enough money to
Get through the end
make
of the
some
season.
deal with KTM to basically keep himself going on the equipment he's got.
Juju will end up on another team. He's going to be on a team no matter
Yeah,
what different
Juju
team.
would probably end up. Juju would probably end up like a Club MX deal
then
or
you have-
something
Again,
like that.
for the
Then you have-
listeners, a
and-
lot of what if.
But then you have
Yeah.
Tom and AP.
This is all like speculation stuff, but like this is legitimate real world shit. Like KTM's fucking broke.
You know who I actually feel, and people are going to call me a homer, but the one guy I feel the worst for is Tom because he fucking upends his career
Yeah.
over in the GPs to come over here,
Wins a
a
title.
title, wins a
Yeah.
fucking title, and then all of a sudden, yeah, man, the brand that you've been riding with pretty much your entire career since you've been a professional, sorry, doesn't
And,
exist
yeah, and
anymore.
all the other teams are full because they don't have a TV budget.
So it's like, oh, that's cool. Like, I don't, like, yeah. It's
No, I mean,
good.
I was told when we were talking about this initially when it came out, they're like, dude, KTM will have more money than ever because once you go into bankruptcy court, like, you don't have to pay any of your bills anymore. So, but
The one guy I feel worse for all of this
I don't know.
is Pitt Byer over in Europe because he's been running such a good program within
Yeah,
the motorsports
for a long
thing,
time.
and now it's not his fault that his fucking owners don't know how to manage money and shit. It's like, dude, what the fuck?
I don't know. It's such an interesting situation. I'll tell you what, I did not think we would see something like this.
Well,
if they fold,
At least
That-
not out of
they,
them.
they have a,
You could have showed me this in Triumph, and I'd have been like, all right.
basically like a General Motors bankruptcy kind of thing where they're restructuring and blah blah blah. But I don't even know. I just lost my train.
It's
of
still
thought.
gonna
It'll
take.
come back.
It's still gonna take years to get fully
Oh.
flushed out what the fuck's gonna happen with
And
it.
they keep saying what KTM North America
is solid.
What is
That's-
KTM North America? Because the building out in California clearly says Pierre Mobility on the front of it.
Yeah, but bro, this is the North American branch, and I'm like, that doesn't matter if the money doesn't come in from Europe, bro. Like, and
I don't
again,
think they do as well over in Europe. with
Does Europe
selling bikes.
does Europe send does KTM or Pierre Mobility Group, whatever you want to call it, world headquarters, do they send you all your budget right off the rip? Because it's highly doubtful that
The budget's
that
coming
happens.
from over there.
Yeah, it comes
Yeah.
in different stages. So like, yeah, you may have it right now to go, and that's one of the things too. If I kind of think about what has been put out there, press releases and interviews and stuff, is yeah, we're solid. We're going racing. Okay, for how long? Like, you could say you're going racing, and yeah, maybe you're set up to go racing January, February, March, Q1, but what happens in Q2?
Yeah, it's just what goes first because there's one piggy bank subsidizing all the other stuff
Yeah.
right now, and it obviously sounds like they're not subsidizing the MXGP series.
No.
Fuck no.
And I will say there is a little bit of a glimmer of hope because I think they are putting all their eggs into the U.S. markets race teams.
We'll
It
see.
does sound like
No, they're
but
putting it all into MotoGP because they were going to sell street bikes.
they're still doing. Are they still gonna though?
I don't know what the fuck's going on
MB
with
Augusta, that brand can go.
that. I haven't heard anything.
Put MB
I
Augusta
don't
up
know
for
about
sale.
that.
Let Ducati buy that or something.
So, all right, so let's get back to Sexton here. So on his last year on KTM here,
Right? Right?
Oh yeah, this is the last year KTM for sure. That he looked at the dollar signs on that deal. I think.
so here is my thought on this. Him and his dad, whatever it is, the technical side of riding, are technically perfect. But here's what I think: they cannot set up a bike. Period. End of discussion.
I think
I think I had this epiphany the other day, and I'm probably wrong, but whatever.
Maybe not open-minded enough either.
No, Kier focuses on watching what Chase is actually doing himself and not what the bike's doing. Where you look at like Dazzy is watching the bike and then secondarily watching the boys. Which I don't
even know if he's even working on the technique with them. He's just
No,
the bike because how
it's-
are you going to tell Jet and Hunter to?
yeah. So
Yeah, I mean they're pretty much at that point. Yeah, whereas maybe
You always need
he
somebody in
hasn't
your ear.
turned the leaf and be like, "Hey, our technique's good. Let's not
Yeah.
touch that anymore. Let's focus on the other part of our program."
yeah, because between the comments that were made by Dazzy of the people before them at Honda didn't know how to develop a bike, aka Chase, okay, and then what we've seen here with the KTM. Did you guys hear where they were openly talking about how last year, 2 weeks before A1, he wasn't even hitting the whoops at the practice track? That's how bad that bike was last year.
That's not good.
He was literally going around the whoops, not riding full motos at the practice track 2 weeks, or maybe it was even the week before A1 last year. That's how bad that bike was. Is it better? Sure. But this goes back to what you were saying of like, oh, well, he's pretty transparent. We said that last year too,
Yeah, I
but
guess you're
apparently
right.
we were not because it was way worse than what it was even
I guess
relayed
you're
to
right.
us.
And I think that's definitely a KTM filter put on him.
Yeah, and I'm not convinced it's better this year. I'm not fully convinced that is better. We'll see, but
I think there's going to be so much noise that has nothing to do with actually riding a dirt bike that it's just going to be a shit.
It's going
year
to be
for him.
all noise
Does he
around
win?
the team, dude.
does
I
he
think-
win a race?
I think he
can
wins
win
a race. I think he wins a couple, but I think that as far as him winning this fucking title, there's no shot.
I had 1 to 2.
Which
period.
is
Yeah,
such
I
a
don't think
bummer.
he does either.
It's such a bummer.
Yeah.
He
You come
doesn't.
off that outdoor title, no matter whether Jet was there or not, and then what happened to SMX not being for himself, wanting to go to MX of Nations and represent his country, and then just
Yeah, I think there's too much noise around
too
him,
much
man.
noise.
If he was, again, I'd love to see him on a green bike, but even if he was on that blue bike,
But how would you think
this
it would
would be
go?
a whole different conversation, and I think we'd be talking to him. He's head to head with Jet every single weekend.
And I know your
but-
thing about the Kawasaki thing, and I know that's come out, but even if he went to Kawasaki, I think that that's not a good move for him because just talking about him not being able to set up a bike, what do we know Kawasaki? And if you want to take yourself out of this conversation, Kawasaki doesn't. They don't have any leeway with a lot of these guys.
Where do you think he goes though?
I honestly believe that he would end up at Star.
Yeah.
I really do. I've been beating that drum for a while now, and I know that
Maybe.
he tested that bike. And for all the comments, did you say in the video about him testing the bike?
Yeah, I did. I said they didn't like Star because I basically broke it down. I'm like, okay, here's where he can go. So you have Husky, Gas, KTM are completely off the table, right? He ain't going back there after this year. He's not going back to Honda because you have Jet and Hunter just blotching out the sun, and they're not going back to 3 riders there. So you basically have Star, Suzuki, Triumph, Kawasaki, and Ducati. He's not going to go to Ducati and Triumph because he's not going to develop a bike.
No.
He can't, basically. He lacks that
He's not going to Suzuki
thing.
to a second
He's
tier.
not going to Suzuki because Suzuki can't afford him, and let's face it,
Kawasaki and
Sexton...
Star make the big most.
I think he goes to
Kawasaki or
Star.
Star makes the most, but again, he didn't like the Star bike, is what I'm being told. So
But I see, and once again, I know that I can imagine where you've heard that from. But see, all I remember hearing is, and maybe I heard it wrong, is not the detesting part, that he just basically straight up said, and maybe this was behind the scenes, and this is what he said publicly, he just went, I don't know how fucking Eli goes this fast on this bike. Now, if you want to say that that's
Yeah.
detesting it, I guess you could actually put that into because that also does line up with it. That's all I remember hearing is he's like, I don't know how Eli goes this fast.
he would have tested he would have tested an early version of a 23,
Yeah.
right? It's 24 is not a new
What
model, right?
is it?
No, 24 is
did it sound like maybe the speed of it or chassis? Because
I think it was
they
just
can move
chassis.
the, they can move
just
the
the
power
just
around.
chassis, just not knowing how Eli goes as fast as he does with the way that bike is, the ergonomics of it. That's all I heard. Now,
Maybe-
if you want to say that that's detesting, I can also pick out of that it's like, oh yeah, I guess that is kind of like, God, this bike is not what I thought it was. So yeah, maybe that's what it is, but I still think he goes to Star only because of the comments we're talking about. He can't set up a bike. Going to Cowie is not going to make it great. And then it's like, okay, well, you're going to Cowie. That means the Ando's gone. And then you got Prado. And Prado, depending on what he does in Supercross, and we know how good he's going to be outdoors, that's like he's not blotching out the sun like Jet and Hunter are, but he's blotching out half of it.
Yeah.
Does
Yeah,
Chase
but
really
I-
want to go to a team where it's like, oh, am I the...
I don't know. So the only two that even remotely make sense are Star and Kawasaki,
Exactly. Yeah,
as far
that
as
is
I'm
definitely-
concerned. But I don't know. We'll have to see. It's going to be an interesting year with him. It's really crazy to think
gonna
that
be
he won a Supercross title 2 years ago, and now we're like, yeah, I'm not even sure he can win a fucking race.
Anyone's an outdoor
Anyone's
title
an
this year.
outdoor
It
title.
It's just a lot. It's not. It's just weird noise, dude.
Yeah.
shows
White
the
noise.
fluidity of this sport these days.
He's just had such an interesting
Look,
career.
I'm
his
gonna go back
entire
to it,
career.
and it's never gonna change. give the teams more money so they can have a third rider. Simple as that.
Yeah, let's go back to the old days, man, where we had four. Well, Star does. Star's got 450 dudes.
But I think they're smart. Like
they are.
This is
Well,
I mean,
Bobby doesn't have any kids, and he's just determined to spend all his money before he dies.
but
Which is soon.
no. I think the other part of it too is how much are these guys paying for his facility every year? 60, 70 grand.
What do you mean?
You know, like, how much is Roxon paying to be at, you know, the Moto Sandbox or whatever?
Oh,
60, 70,
30, 35 for a whole
35,
year.
40 grand.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll
Drop.
call it at most.
So-
Maybe not even that because you're a. So I know that if you're a privateer guy, you will pay anywhere. The last number I heard was about 25 grand for the whole, or for Supercross and motocross, but that's without pitting inside and, you know, a few other things. So yeah, that in, it probably the cost a little bit more, but then again too, like I said, if you're a marquee guy who's going to draw other people there, I don't know.
And I think if you're a team, you can leverage that, and I think that's exactly what Star's doing. You go to a
Yeah.
guy like Carson Wood, who's stuck in California riding the beat-ass test track.
Yeah.
Be like, hey, you know, instead of 100 grand a year, let's give you 60, and you have this whole facility to ride at all year,
Yeah.
and you're covered by Progressive Insurance.
Yep.
Boom, done. That's
Yeah.
why they have 1,500,000 riders.
Yeah.
You know what's going to suck for Florida, though? And I know we're getting off track with this comment, this stuff, but like it's going to suck for Florida if everybody's getting out of SoCal. Same thing's going to happen. Even now, granted, I understand that the layout of Florida is not like California where like you don't have the fucking, you know, the 5 where everybody's on it at all times, whereas in Florida, you know, it's the 75 or whatever.
No, it's I-4.
Yeah.
You got
But-
I-4 down there.
But it's like Florida's going to become the same thing SoCal did.
Yeah.
If everybody goes to Florida.
We'll see. We'll see. All right. So that wraps up KTM. And I just want to thank you guys for watching this video. If you guys like this kind of content and you want to see the full show, it's linked right here. If you guys want to make sure that you never miss an update, you never miss a show, a live stream, a bike build, or anything that we're doing, make sure to hit that subscribe button there and make sure to turn on notifications with the bell. If you want to join our members area to help support the show, that's greatly appreciated too. And you can check us recording things live that other people in the general public don't get to see. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see y'all on the next one.